We are recording now. So we're going to go through Blackboard. Blackboard is not necessarily required for this class, but is online access is required for your homework and quizzes. And there's a lot of stuff that'll be on Blackboard that'll be helpful to you. So most of you have been on Blackboard before, so is there anybody that hasn't logged in that doesn't know how to log into Blackboard? It's your same password as logging onto any computer at WITC. So let's go to this course, pre-algebra. And most of what's going to be interesting for us, you'll have your My Grades button. Your grades will be posted there as the semester goes on. That's the official grade book for the courses in Blackboard here. Everything else that's interesting will be under course information. So if you click on that, there's my contact information. My name's Todd Hoff. You guys can just call me Todd. We're all adults here, so I don't need any titles. Best way to get a hold of me is email, and I realize that's pretty small on the screen for those of you sitting in back, so I'll have that up there larger in just a minute. And if you can't get to email, I check email at least a couple times a day because I have it right here on my computer at the workstation. If you can't get to email, you can send me a voicemail. In fact, I have Rice Lake's campus number up there, but you can call any campus or the 800 number, and then just type in that extension and you'll get my voicemail. Or if you're on a campus, you can just pick up any phone and dial that extension and it'll go right to my voicemail. Don't expect me to answer because I'm in my office about twice a week. But I do have it's set up so it sends me a message through my email if there's a voice message. So I will get them. Okay, right now there's nothing, there's the syllabus and my schedule down here. We'll look at my schedule quick just so you can see it. My schedule around this class is a little tight. You can see we're each Tuesday and Thursday at this time. And you can see I have a class right before this, both of those days. And on Thursday I have a class right after this. But if you have any questions, usually I try to set aside between 10 and 20 minutes at the end of each class to answer any questions, get started on homework if you need to. Tonight we'll take some time to make sure everybody gets logged into my math lab. And for those of you on Rice Lake campus, you can see my mornings are pretty open from 9:30 to noon. For those of you in Richmond, email or call and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Okay, syllabus, I'm going to wait a second to look at the syllabus. I'm going to show you what else is usually on that page. Since this is the first class, that's all that's going to be on there, but let's go to my summer class. Normally, down below my syllabus and my schedule, that'll be the links to those videos. So you can see, let's just click on one of them. Takes you to YouTube, and there's the video. And what you see, after we get done with the ads, I wish I got a cut of those. So yeah, what you see is that's just whatever appears up on the screen with my voice laid over the top of it. Right now I have the sound shut off so you're not hearing it, but that's all the videos are. Okay, let's get back to this class and we'll look at our syllabus. By the way, if you need to email me and you forget my email address, Course Tools here has a link to email. In fact, you can email me, if it goes there, or you can email any of your classmates if you need to from this. You scroll down and select email, send an email. You can actually select who in the class or me that you want to send an email to. Okay, so there's my contact information, a little bit larger if you need it. For the email, you don't need capital letters. It doesn't matter. It'll go through either way. You guys are here, so you don't need to know when and where class meets. You've already found it. But the big thing is course description. All of you are in here because you need to take this class to get ready for another math class that you'll need for your program. So this is one class that does not have a test out procedure. So you guys are stuck with me. Textbook. Make sure I got the right one here. We just went to a new edition, so if you bought a used book, hopefully you didn't get an old edition. This is the one. It's the green pre-algebra. 6th edition. The old one is blue, so if yours is blue, you might have some problems. Is there anybody that does not have the textbook yet? Okay. If you bought a textbook used, one of the issues you might have is My Math Lab access. Since this is an instructor copy, I don't have it, but inside your front cover, there'll be a big card with a scratch-off thing on it. That'll have your code for getting into My Math Lab, and we're going to go over that in just a minute. But if you bought a used textbook, you'll have to buy access to My Math Lab online, and you can do that with a credit card, and I'll show you how to do that when we get to that point. So a textbook is required, and access to My Math Lab is required because all of our homework and quizzes are done in My Math Lab. Our 4-unit tests are done paper and pencil and in class. So that'll be the only grades that are outside of the My Math Lab. Not required, but extremely highly recommended is the scientific calculator. Now that's not a graphing calculator. The one I have up on my screen here is a graphing calculator. I only have that because it's the only one I could get free for my computer screen. You don't need anything that fancy. By scientific calculator, I mean like a little $12 or $15 calculator that can do fractions is really the biggest thing. If you have one already, it's most likely good enough. If you're not sure, let me know and I'll take a look and I can tell you if it'll work. If you don't have one, the one I normally recommend to people is the Texas Instruments TI-30, and it's usually the one that's either gray or black. There's one that's blue and white. Stay away from that one. There's one that's gray or black that works really well. It's got a 2-line display. Works great. There's a 1-line display that's a little bit cheaper, which will work fine for this course, but if the next class you need to take is Math with Business Applications, that calculator has a couple of issues at the very end of the business math class. With some of the longer formulas, you can't put it all in the 1-line display. So the 2-line display is the best one to get. And like I said, if you have any questions on your calculator, let me know and I'll help you out. So in this class, we're covering the basics, getting you ready for your next class. For some of you, that might be varying. Some cases a little more than what you need, depending on what your next class is, but it's adequate. So we're going to go over real numbers, fractions, decimals, percents, ratios, and proportions. Basic equations, solving equations into a little bit more complex equations. Working with variables and polynomials, some graphing, and then some basic statistics. Okay. The important part, grading. 80% of your grade in here is on those 4-unit tests, which are each 100 points. And you'll see when those come up. Once we get into My Math Lab, I actually put those right in the schedule, so you can see on the schedule there when they're coming up. And your quizzes. There's a quiz after class. Most of the quizzes correspond with homework. So like today you won't get a homework assignment, so next class there won't be a quiz. But next class there will be a homework assignment, so next week Tuesday there will be a quiz on that homework assignment. So the quizzes trail the homework assignments by a day. Once we get into the homework, once everybody's in My Math Lab, you'll see that a little more clearer. The other 20% of your grade is those homework assignments in My Math Lab and your classroom participation. I don't take strict attendance, so if you have to miss for something, it's not going to kill your grade. But if you're never here, obviously participation points are tough to get if you're not in class. As long as you're doing all the homework assignments and keeping up, I won't knock down your participation. That's the promise. If you have to reopen a bunch of homework assignments or you're turning them in late, that's when you start to lose participation points for not being on time with stuff. So anyway, the grading scale, I'm sure you guys have seen that before, standard WITC grading scale. Okay, so then the administrative stuff, withdrawals. If you drop a course in this first week, you get a full refund. Like I said, most of you guys are in here because you're required to, so I don't see anybody dropping this one. If something comes up throughout the semester where you can't finish the semester and you need to drop, there is a deadline. It's somewhere around the beginning of week 13. If you drop before then, it appears on your transcript as a withdrawal. If you drop after that date, it appears as an F. So make sure if anything comes up that you have that all straightened out. Policies, basically just see the handbook. All the policies in the handbook apply. Academic integrity, don't cheat. This class, I know with my math lab, you're sitting at home with yours. I can't see what you're doing, so the temptation is there. I mean, this class is here to prepare you for your next class. So what you get out of it is what you put into it. You're only hurting yourself if you try to use somebody else's work. If you do have any needs, by the way, one of the things I want to bring up, whether it's a documented disability or maybe you're just really nervous about taking a math class, maybe test anxiety, or you can't concentrate in a crowded room or whatever it is, come and talk to me. My job, I view my job as to try to get you through this and get you ready for your next class, not to try to flunk you out. So if there's anything I can do or anything we can adjust for you, let me know and we'll see what we can work out. And then the podcast statement, obviously, like I said before, the videos are online. They are open to the public, so be aware of that. And then that's just the list of our units. We have our whole numbers and basic algebra comes first, then fractions, of course, with algebra thrown in. Second, then decimals. Guess what? More algebra. And then geometry and basic statistics is our final unit. Any questions? Anybody really scared? Okay, good. It shouldn't be that scary. Okay, enough of the administrative stuff. Let's get to my math lab. Okay, so the website for my math lab is simply mymathlab.com. That'll take you to my math lab, theoretically. So this is the website you'll get to when you go to register for my math lab. Normally, once you've registered, you'll just click right here where it says sign in, and you will put in your username and password and go to select this course. Your first time you go in, it says register now down here. You're going to click on student, obviously, because you're a student. That's going to give you a list of things you're going to need. You're going to need your email. A course ID is a number, a code I'm going to give you. It's posted on Blackboard. And then either that access code from inside the front cover of your book, or if you don't have one of those, you'll have to purchase access with a credit card. I'm going to go ahead and click register now so you can see the first part of the process. First thing it usually asks you for is the access code for the class. Telling you that it's my class that you're registering for. On Blackboard, if you go to the announcements, you can see down in here, where are you? Right here. Oops, come on. It is HOFF, H-O-F-F 42005. Make sure that's all, oops, not all caps, by the way. This should be all small letters. I'll fix that for you. Okay, so HOFF 42005. I don't think it matters if you put in caps, but just to be safe, we'll keep it as small letters. That's just telling my math lab that it's this class that you want to be a part of. Just for the heck of it, we'll put that in, get you the next step. If you've used my math lab before for any classes, you'll already have an account, so you just put in your username and password and you'll be done pretty much there. You'll ask you for your access code. Most of you have not, so you'll click create here. This is what it's going to ask you for your email address. What you're going to use is your username, password, repeat your password, your name, your last name, and all that good stuff. I highly recommend, first of all, that you use your WITC email address. Second, that you use your WITC email address as your username as well. In fact, they even recommend that you use your email address so that you don't mess it up. That way you can remember it. The next thing is, once you put in your password, write it down. Every semester I have, whoops, go ahead.
If you already have like a WITC email, do you have to go through this?
Yep, yeah, because this is different. This is your homework manager for the course. This is where you do your homework for the class.
So you gotta do all this stuff.
Yep. Once you do all this, then it'll get you into where you can actually see the homework. This is something that's through the textbook, not necessarily through WITC. So like I said, make sure you write down that password, because every semester I get 2 or 3 students that they create their account, they get into my math lab, it's going great, they come back the next day to log in, they think they remember what they did for a password, but they don't. And then they got to go through customer service to get their account reset, and that can be a pain. So make sure you write that all down. I'm not going to go any further. The next thing that you would do once you hit create your account is the next thing it would ask for is your access code, whether you're going to use that code out of your book, or if you don't have that code, it would be using a credit card to create this. Is there anybody that does not have that code with their book? Okay, good. So we don't have to worry about that. So I'm going to get out of here right now. You don't have a book yet. Okay, and that's fine. Once you get there, just make sure you buy a new book from the bookstore. That way you'll have the code. If you buy it, oh, they're out. Okay. Yeah, I think originally they only had the cap set in Richmond as 5 students for this class, and then we raised it, so they didn't have enough purchase there. Once you get registered, whoops, go ahead.
Once we go through all this, we'll be signed up for your class to see the quizzes and homework assignment.
Yep, what we just went,
Blackboard, through this.
it's through this and not on Blackboard. That's correct. Once you get all that signed up that I just went through, then you'll come back in, you'll log in again, you'll go to this stage, and after that you'll just hit sign in here, and you'll put in your username and your password. And you'll get to a page that looks... Nope, your password, you'll create that when you're going through that registration process at the beginning. So it's whatever password you pick. For most of you, there will only be this course that shows up. There won't be any other ones. I have a few others, so you can see I've got a couple. But you'll get to this page and you'll just click on this course, and what you'll get to will look something like this. Eventually. There it comes. Now you can see here, this is telling us stuff that's coming up. The first homework assignment is due September 6th. That's next Tuesday. You'll notice there's no quizzes here. The reason for that is this only shows what's available. Well, the quiz won't be available until next Tuesday after class. It'll be available from like 4 o'clock Tuesday or 3 o'clock Tuesday until midnight or 11:59 p.m. Wednesday night. So you have like 30 hours to do the quiz. Well, that won't appear on here until it's available. The other place you can click, like homework, if you click on homework, you can see every homework assignment for the course is listed out here. You can start the homework assignments as early as you want to. You can do all the homework assignments this week if you want to. I don't recommend it because it'll take a while. And also, by the time we get to that, you'll forget what's going on. Quizzes and tests are right here. Right now, all that is listed here are the 4-unit tests, and then there's a final test. The final test is not something that you have to worry about too much. That's to evaluate the course, not to evaluate the students. That's at the end of the semester. That's how we look back and see, did we get the students where we needed to go? So it's not going to affect your grade. But there's no quizzes that show up here right now because there's none available. You can't take any quizzes until next Tuesday will be the first quiz will appear. Be careful if you keep scrolling down, there's practice quizzes. These are just practice quizzes from the textbook. They are not part of the course. So just be aware of that. So those are the two places you'll want to check I will tell you at the end of every class what there are for assignments and quizzes coming up in the next couple of days so that you know about them and you're not surprised. But when you log in, you will see this. So these are the next few homework assignments, but those quizzes will only be open for a window of a little bit more than a day, so make sure you get in there and get them done. Homework assignments, after the due date, you can keep working on them. It's going to mark your grade. What my math lab does is it takes off half your points, and that's just to show me that you kept working on it after the due date. The official grade book is in Blackboard, so when I transfer your grades to Blackboard, I will correct those and add those points back in for you. It's just, that's my way of knowing whether you had everything done on time or not. For quizzes, once it gets that deadline, so next week, Wednesday night, 11:59 p.m., quiz 1 will shut off. It doesn't matter whether you haven't started it or whether you're halfway through it. At 11:59, it will shut it off on you. The first one, I'm usually a little bit lenient. If people are having problems, I'll extend it for you if I have to. But I try not to because I know in business math, they're pretty strict about deadlines in most of the sections. Right now, I know most of you are not signed up for my math lab, so I'm guessing there's a lot of questions, but not really sure what ones to ask. So I'm going to wait and we'll put those off. Hopefully, they have more textbooks in Richmond by Thursday, and we can get everybody signed up before class is over on Thursday. That is going to be one of the things I'm going to ask you to try to do. Those of you that have your textbooks, is to try to get registered in my math lab by Thursday so that we can show you a little bit more about how things work. Get in there and look around, and that way you'll know a little bit more about questions you have. I'm going to try to remember to check into New Richmond and see if they have a date on when they're expecting those books to come in too. Hopefully it's tomorrow. So anyway, since none of you have access to my math, or few of you have access to my math lab yet, we're not going to do any more with that. Like I said, the official grade book is in Blackboard, so you'll click on that and you'll see right now I haven't graded any assignments, so there's nothing up there, but that's where the official grade book is. So what I transfer into here is what really matters. Okay. Any questions so far on policies or procedures? Or I know there's probably a lot of questions on my math lab right now, but actually, I want to show you one more thing before I move on. Once you get into my math lab and start doing some of the stuff, there's a lot of really nice tools you can use. And we'll look at these again on Thursday too. So you're doing a homework assignment, if it gets me there. Now in the past, there have been some problems. Sometimes if you click on this main page, if you click on one of these assignments, sometimes there have been some issues with the assignments working. If that happens, if it doesn't work well, just click on homework here and access the assignment through that, or quizzes and tests if it's a quiz. That generally works better. So if you click on one of the homeworks, it's going to give you this little summary of the assignment and then a list of questions. Just click on any one of the questions and it'll take you to the homework navigator here. Of course, my computer's really slow. Okay, so I'm going to go to some more difficult ones. You can jump around for any questions just by clicking that down arrow. You can move to any question you want to. Let's go up to 26. If you're doing a question you're not sure what to do, you can see over here it says question help. If you click on that, it pulls up this menu. There's a few options here. Some questions, like this one, has a video option. You can click on that and it'll show you a video that talks about similar questions to this. There's a textbook option. You can click on that and it'll actually pull up an electronic copy of the page in the textbook that describes this, or the section in the textbook that describes this. By the way, if you're wondering what section of the textbook this question's from, this little number right here at the top of the question tells you that. The 1.4, that's chapter 1, section 4, and the 35 is question number 35. So if you look in your textbook, chapter 1, section 4, and if you look at the problems at the end of that section, this question is very similar to question number 35. So all the questions here correlate to those in your book. Let's say the video and the page in the textbook didn't help you. You can click View an Example. It'll show you a problem very similar to this one, and it'll show you how to do it. And you hit Continue, and it'll walk you through it step by step. You close, and then you can go back and you can try this one. If that still doesn't help, there's a Help Me Solve This. If you click on that, it uses this actual problem, and it gives you a hint as to what the next step is. And you have to fill this in. So you fill in the missing number, you hit Check Answer, and it'll take you to the next step. Then you have to fill that in. And it'll walk you through the problem step by step. Now the problem is, once you get done with this, you've done the problem that you were supposed to do for the homework. So once you click Close, it's got it marked wrong, but you'll notice it also gave you a new problem here. You can solve that problem and put in an answer. So you get 3 attempts to solve a problem. If you get it wrong 3 times in a row, it's going to give you the answer, but then it'll change it to a new problem, and you got 3 attempts at that new problem. If you're really stumped, there's Ask My Instructor here. What that does is it'll send a copy of the question to my email, and it'll give you a chance. You can actually make comments if you want to. You'll say, I understand this part, but I don't get what to do here, or whatever. And that allows me, then I'll respond to you and say, well, try this, or this is what you should do, or whatever. Make sure you use that. Don't just send me a regular email saying problem number 15 on the homework was giving me trouble, because these questions are randomized. So when I go in and look at problem number 15, what I see for problem number 15 was most likely different than what you see. You know, this one's showing 8 times 325. You might have 6 times 275. So by using that Ask My Instructor, it sends me a copy of the exact question that you're looking at. So it's easier for me to help you out. Now, let's say you do get it wrong 6 times in a row and it marks it wrong and you have to move on. It's not a big deal as long as you understand it. Your homework is not graded for accuracy. It's graded for completion. So when I grade your homework, I look in and make sure you did every question. If you miss a few because you ran out of time, I'm not going to be a stickler on that. But what I will look for is when I go in there, I can see how much time you used on it. On my version, I'll click on your score and it'll show, oh, they spent 3.5 minutes on it. Or they spent an hour and 12 minutes on it. Well, if you spent the time on it and did every question, you're going to get your points. The homework is for learning. It's not for trying to kill your grade. Okay, any questions? Okay. I got a little long-winded there. Oops, go ahead. This is, that's a very good question. Yeah, I'm not going to get into my opinion of the new style math. You can probably guess it from the tone of my voice. I am probably even more old-fashioned than most of what the older students remember taking. My style of teaching math dates way back before my own time. Back to the time where not only did we tell you how to do math, but we told you why you're doing it that way. That's my biggest thing, is I want you to understand why you do things the way we do, not just how to do it. Too much of math is taught now of, you see a problem that looks like this, well, you do this, this, and this, and then you have the answer. And you can do it, you can be very good at it, but have absolutely no clue why you did it that way. So then when you run into a new problem that's slightly different, you don't know what to do differently. So that's going to be my biggest emphasis in here is how do numbers work? What do they mean? And why do we do things the way we do? Any other questions?
I'm going to be gone on Thursday.
Okay. The recording should be posted by the end of the day Friday for you. So you can look at the assignment.
You want me to email you just to say I'm going to be gone?
No,
I'm also going to be gone 20th through 27th. I'm going to Colorado.
Okay. You've informed me that's all that matters. As long as you're keeping up, if you got internet access that you can look at the videos and keep up with the homework and the quizzes.
All right.
I've got to, I closed down my math lab. I don't want to open up it again. I don't want to take the time, but that 20th to 27th might be right on the edge of when our first test is, which actually work out nice. You can just make it up before you go if it's during that time.
Yeah.
But yeah, that shouldn't be a problem. As long as you're keeping up with stuff online, and you know the course videos are there to watch to catch you up if you miss a lecture. Okay, it's a little bit early for our break, but I'm going to stop it here. It's 4:16. Let's come back at 4:26, and we'll start going over a little bit of basic material.